I get no respect. I know. It was her. I saw who it was. I got my eye on you. That was Sue. Huh? Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Sharon is my friend. Would you breathe with me, please? Taking a deep breath. And again. And one more time. That's what I'm talking about. Get our blood pumping with fun music, and then get ourselves into the zone. Speaking of zones, is anybody else having a hard time with the twice yearly time change? Yeah. You know, it's been around since the 1900s. I didn't know that. I knew it had been around as long as I've been living, and it's not that long. So you would think that I would be used to it by now, but it still kind of sneaks up on me every time, right? It's like, oh no, it's time for the time change. How many of you really forgot to change your clocks? Yeah, see, I knew. Yeah, Marty was up at 4 a.m., he told me. Bright and early. Bright and early. And you know, no matter which one it is, whether it's falling back or springing forward, I still manage to complain about it. You know, every time. When we spring forward, for instance, we lose an hour of sleep, which is a bummer because it's always on a Sunday morning, but it stays lighter later. And that's cool, right? Yeah? And when we fall back, we get an extra hour of sleep on Sunday morning. Yay! But then it gets really dark really early, which is a bummer. So here are a couple of cartoons that I have for you. Right? And then this one is how we're all going to be feeling this afternoon. And I know Annie's going to be bugging me right around 4 o'clock because in her clock it's 5 o'clock for her dinner. So you know what? It's a little disturbing, right? But daylight savings time has been around, like I said, for 100 years. But you know that it was originally suggested by Benjamin Franklin in the 1700s. I know. I thought that was interesting. And what happened was after World War I, many countries adopted it in order to conserve energy because they thought by making the day longer that it would conserve energy. I also remember hearing that it was for farmers so that they would have an extra hour of sun in order to do what they do. All I know is it messes with my head a little bit, and I do like that extra hour of sleep, though. I did mention that. I like that. I'm not a morning person. The sacrifice I make for you. All right. My intention today, however, is not to debate the pros and cons of daylight savings time, because in the big scheme of things, it is actually a moot point, because many people believe that time as we know it doesn't actually exist. They believe that time is a man-made concept, a measurement, a way of keeping track of the past and predicting the future. But time as an entity, as an actual thing, doesn't exist. It is fluid and it is relative. Let me give you an example. Think back to a time when you were in a situation that was super boring, Not this morning. Super boring or super stressful. And it felt like time was dragging by almost. You've heard the phrase, time stood still? You ever worked like that last 10 minutes of work? At 4:50, the clock stops. Am I right? But on the other hand, think about a time when you're doing something that you absolutely love and you're with people that you love. That same amount of time, you choose whatever it is, let's say 10 minutes, that same amount of time goes by in a flash. It's the same amount of time, but very different experiences. Which tells me that the concept of time is just that. It is a concept. It is they call it a construct. It is a man-made construct. Now I realize this may be kind of radical to some people because we are so bound by time. My work hours are, I'll meet you at 5. The game starts at 6. We're going to be late. I certainly don't want to be early, certainly not on Sunday mornings. How long is this going to take? So time is part of our collective agreement. You understand what I mean? It's part of our collective agreement because it allows our society to function in an orderly manner. So I'm not saying that this idea of time is a bad thing. It is absolutely necessary to our society. However, where it does not serve us is when we spend our time either looking at the past or thinking about the future and not being in the present moment. Because regardless of all the references that we have to time, there's songs about time. Jory's song about, I'm going to get to my baby, it's time, it's time, it's time. And movies and books and conversations and memories and goals and vision boards and and all this other kind of stuff. The present moment is all there really is. The past is built on memories, which we know are often flawed. And if you don't believe me, ask 2 members of your family to relate the same story. Yeah. And the future hasn't happened yet. It isn't created yet. It is unformed. The future, hold on to your hats, is awaiting instruction. I know. And where that instruction comes from is what we are thinking in the present moment. Because what we are thinking about right now is giving birth to what will be. I'm going to say that again. What we are thinking about right now is giving birth to what will be. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, put it this way. It is often very difficult for us to realize that we are living in a timeless universe. And the fact that as far as the infinite is concerned, infinite with a capital I, everything exists to it as a present reality, bound neither by the past nor by the future. Rather, life is something that is eternally made now. New! And now! You know, I gotta tell you, I have raised the font on my notes. Up and up and up. This is the biggest it's been since I've been a minister. And it's clearly not big enough. All right. So, to the universe, God, Spirit, the infinite, Allah, the Buddha mind, whatever you want to call it, to the universe, the only moment is now and new. Because it's creative energy. It's the creative energy that is back of everything. It is that which is impelling everything forward. And where it creates is in the present, certainly not in the past, and the future hasn't been created yet. So that's why when we do our affirmations, when we do our spiritual mind treatment, I realize that's kind of a weird term for those of you who are new. It just means affirmative prayer. But when we do our spiritual work, we do it always in the present, never in the future. It's going to be, I will be. Because that's putting the focus out there somewhere. I've heard it described as putting it on the back burner. When we're saying it's going to be. No, it's happening right now. So we do our spiritual work as if the thing that we would like to manifest, whatever that is happening right now in this moment. Dr. Holmes also said, all ideas are formed in the present, since there is neither past nor future to reality. So whatever it is that we want to create or manifest, whether it's material good or it's peace or it's health or it's love or prosperity, it starts with our thoughts. It starts with our thoughts. So we want to make sure that those thoughts are formed in the present. In other words, I am now. I accept now. My life is. I am living a life of, not sometime in the future, but right now. When I was explaining this concept, I was new. And I was trying to explain this to my mother, who wasn't quite sure if I was in a cult or not. But... And I said, Mom, she had a sore back. And I said, Mom, let's do some affirmations. I have a healthy back. I am free of pain, that type of thing. And she said, well, no, I can't. That would be lying. If I can't say that I have a healthy back if my back hurts. Why would I say that? It's being dishonest. And I understand that. It kind of seems counterintuitive. So I understand that. But when we understand this idea that there is no time, that there is only the present, then we can see that saying things in the present moment, affirming things in the present moment, is how we make things happen, because the universe doesn't understand time. It only knows the now, and the universe is what we are working in partnership with to bring these things about. Is this making sense? Okay, good. So when we tell the universe it is now, whatever it is, the universe doesn't understand past or future. The universe accepts it as true and then begins a creative process of bringing it about. So what we are supposed to do is use our powerful creative minds, because we are powerful and creative. And then we use it to accept and believe that this new idea, and it's happening here in the present, because when we do, we are working with the universe's parameters. We're working under its law, its rules, so to speak. Anybody ever try to go against a universal law? How's that work for you? Yeah, not so good. So the Buddha said, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our own mind. Say this with me. My life is the creation of my own mind. Good news, bad news. So, of course, this whole idea of living in the moment, it's kind of all the rage now, you know? Modern day gurus, they're all teaching about mindfulness and living in the present moment. You've probably even read a book or two about it, or you've listened to a podcast, or you've watched a video about mindfulness. And you do it in your spare time when maybe you can squeeze in a little bit, right? Am I right? But with any spiritual discipline, it's one thing to learn about it, it's another thing to do it. Mary Morrissey says, when somebody says, well, I know that, and Mary says, do you know it, or do you know about it? Do you practice mindfulness, or do you know about it? So then the question is, how do I do it? How do I do this? How do I learn to live in the present moment? Well, we're having a conversation about this recently in our Practitioner 2 class. We have 7 wonderful Practitioner 2 students. They're going to make marvelous practitioners. So we're having this conversation about living in the moment, right? And one of the students, Sabrina Morrow, showed us a watch that she has that reminds her of the present now moment every time she looks at it, and it looks a little something like that. Is that the coolest? Yeah, that's so cool. So it is really a matter of awareness. It is a matter of, I'm going to use a really bad word. Discipline. It is a matter of discipline. So I have a few simple practices that can help us to jumpstart our awareness of being in the present moment. And the first one is do one thing at a time. You know, we are a society that takes pride in being able to multitask, right? Especially us women, right? Oh, I know, it's so true. It's almost like the more plates that we have spinning, the more accomplished, the more successful we appear. And yet the opposite is actually true. Because when we have all those plates spinning, we aren't fully present for any of them. We spread ourselves too thin, and so nothing gets our full focus, nothing gets our full attention, nothing gets our full love. So learning how to concentrate on one task at a time. Because if we're always thinking about the next project, the next phone call, the next thing to do, we're not paying attention to what is happening right here and now. So to live in the moment, one thing you need to learn how to do is compartmentalize. I'm doing this now. There's lots of other things, but I'm doing this now. Another one is to stop and look around. Sounds like a song. You better stop, look around. What song is that? You know, we have so many new people. I am sure that they are just like, what is this woman talking about? We like me. Except for this one. So stop and look around, because that fog of worriness and of busyness and of keeping up and of stress is keeping us from really observing what's going on around us. So the next time that you feel stressed out, rather than tuning out, try instead to bring your focus so that you are really, really very closely paying attention to something. Focus on the color of the sunset. We have some spectacular sunsets in Alberta, sunrises and sunsets. In fact, I want you to stop right now and just observe what's going on. Are you present? Are you present? Or are you thinking about where you're going to go to brunch when I finally stop talking? Another one is to listen to people. Listen to people. We become a society that half listens to people when our minds are elsewhere, you know, especially with the advent of smartphones. And you know, I love me my smartphone. I love technology. Particularly, I love that my phone turned itself back. It fell back on its own. I didn't even have to think about it. Except for the clock in my office doesn't. And so I had a couple of little minor heart attacks when I was getting prepared this morning, and I glanced up at the clock and I was like, oh no, that's right, it's hour. So start listening to people. How many times have you been talking with someone and you can just see that their eyes are darting over to their phone every time it makes a noise? I'm guilty of it myself, absolutely. So whether it's a coworker or your spouse or your kid or whoever it is, when you are with them, talking to them, give them your full and undivided attention. Because there's no greater gift that you can give to anyone than to actually listen and hear them. It'll bring you right to the present moment. Meditate or pray. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir with you all, but whether you're saying a prayer or a treatment, or you're focusing on your breathing, or you're doing a walking meditation, or you're just sitting still for a couple of minutes, what happens is your brain gets bathed in alpha waves and your blood pressure slows down. So practicing mindfulness is good for you. It's healthy for you. Another one is to focus on life's pleasures. Celebrate them. I'm willing to bet that every one of you has had something pleasant or wonderful that happened for you already today, and it's only, I'm not going to tell you what time it is. Right? Celebrate that. Woohoo! But stay present here now. The other one is look for the unique. I really enjoyed this one. For example, if you take your dog for a walk, always in the same route every day, notice that there are subtle changes. Maybe some flowers are coming up. Maybe somebody's painted their house or something. It's amazing how present you can be when you are concentrating or focusing on finding something new and unique in the regular or mundane. And then what can happen is that you find that there is no such thing as the regular or mundane, because you find that everything is a miracle. Everything. This one hit home for me. Eliminate the what ifs and the if onlys. You know which ones I'm talking about, right? If only I would get that raise, then I'd be happy. What if I never find the right man? What if if only I could lose 20 pounds, then I'll start enjoying life. Now, there's nothing wrong with having goals. Nothing wrong with having goals. But don't let them distract you from the here and now. In fact, begin to work your affirmations around those goals in the present moment. For instance, prosperity and abundance is flowing through me right now. Say that with me. Prosperity and abundance is flowing through me right now. I am healthy, happy, and feeling wonderful now. I am healthy, happy, feeling wonderful now. Okay, this one. I am enjoying a healthy, loving relationship with my wonderful mate. If that's what you want. It's in this moment that creation happens. So keep affirming in the moment what you would like to experience, and that allows the universe to begin working in this moment to make it happen. And the final one is, I don't need to say this to y'all because I know you, but be positive. So you threw your back out first day of vacation. So you broke a tooth when you were on vacation. Don't resign yourself to living in misery. Don't put life on hold until you're back on your feet. You can always find something to appreciate exactly where you are, under whatever circumstance you find yourself. So these are just a few techniques and tools. There's lots of them around. These may work for you, they may not. You can find all kinds of information online, YouTube's, books, but apply them, whatever you do. The important thing is to start somewhere and to train yourself to the best of your ability to live in this beautiful moment called the present. Because we all like presents, don't we? So let's just get through tonight when it's going to be dark at 5 o'clock. And we're all going to be grumpy. I love you, and so it is.